Hey, this is Max Abramson, candidate for president. I'm seeing other people commenting on the rioting and looting and burning of buildings. So far in St. Paul, Minnesota, Louisville, Kentucky, and Minneapolis, an estimated 200 plus buildings are now on fire or have been burned. Countless vehicles have been burned. At least 7 people have been shot in Louisville, Kentucky. And now Columbus, Ohio, the state capitol is being stormed. So just like the LA riots, for those of you who are around in what was it, 1991 or 92, it took forever for them to do anything about it, and the whole city's burned down, whole communities burned down, and some of those cities have never recovered. I've posted multiple times online. Every high crime ghetto in America is run by Democrats. None of them were high crime ghettos before the Democrats took them over. All 15 of the 15 highest crime counties are run by Democrats, and 85% of all homicides happen in Democrat-run jurisdictions, and homicide rates are 2 to 10 times higher in Democrat-run cities, counties, and states. So what I'm seeing online, let me just jump over to it, is what I saw from the Libertarian presidential and vice presidential candidates, and what I'm seeing from a lot of Libertarian Party members is not libertarian at all. They sound like they're justifying the burning of their city, burning of vehicles, attacking innocent people, looting, pillaging, rioting. And Jo Jorgensen, whom I had a lot of respect for until these remarks, she's falling right into the kind of Democrat media narrative of insisting on calling them protesters, but they're not peaceful protesters. People are burning these buildings down, and the people who are attacking people, there's one disabled woman in a chair who's struck multiple times in the back of the head, and they're calling, there was a man with a mask, maybe an Antifa guy, it's just speculation, some people are speculating he's a police officer in Minneapolis with a gas mask and a black umbrella, and he was smashing the windows of the AutoZone, and some other activists went in and set the AutoZone on fire. All the people running out with TVs and DVD players, and this guy apparently, white guy, running out with a box of Legos. I don't know what he needs the Legos for. Maybe he plans on rebuilding something after the whole city is destroyed. There'll just be a little standing Lego building of some kind. Pattern is with all of these cities, especially Minneapolis, they're all run by Democrats. And I've said this over and over again, and if you feel loyal to the Democrat brand name and the rigged primary process that they have, I hope that you're angry. I hope that your ears are burning. I hope that you're taking a good long look at what that party is. So Minneapolis PD in recent years has killed 10 different people. A couple of those, someone was wielding a knife or fired a weapon. There, I would say that there would be gray areas that should lead to acquittal. But 10 people now, and there have been countless complaints about police violence and misconduct and other things that the city of Minneapolis has been doing. 12 out of 13 city council members are Democrats. Now there's this woman, I believe she's Justine DeMond. She was killed a couple of years ago by a Minneapolis cop, and so I reposted something. It says, both murdered by a Minneapolis cop. Mainstream media and social justice warriors only want you to be angry for one of them. Well, I'm an individualist, and they've killed 10 people, and probably half or more of those were completely unjustified, just out and out murder. And what's happened is the taxpayers of Minneapolis have had to pay out tens of millions of dollars in settlements and judgments. And what I thought was interesting is the Libertarian Party, instead of being objective and individualist, what I've seen from Libertarian candidates and longtime Libertarian activists is they keep saying, and I'm just going to read right off my social media feed, someone says, I actually don't know if she's an LP member or not, nah man, less white people have reached this level of indignity and unrest, but it's coming, just keep voting harder. And that's a Jo Jorgensen supporter, so I guess it is an LP member. And someone else responds, and I can't tell, the profile pictures are too small. Happened to me. Luckily, I survived. And I guess it's a white guy, Navy veteran, it looks like. And then the next one looks like a guilty white liberal, just my impression. Oh, she is. She says, "Please stop. You're going to embarrass yourself." And my response, of course, is, "Stop, only the totalitarian left silences dissent." And she, of course, laughs it off. And the responses were even more interesting. A number of other people jumped on and said, "The officer who killed her was arrested, charged, and convicted of murder." Well, that's technically true, but he wasn't charged until 9 months later. And he had a relatively quick trial and then was sentenced to very, very long prison sentence. That's a rare case. What I've been stating outright, and you shouldn't have to state this when you're dealing with actual libertarians, you never do, but you do with these new Libertarian Party members, and this is one of the reasons I left the Libertarian Party. I don't think that the situation is salvageable anymore. 1,200 to 2,000 people a year are killed in police interactions, and about 1,000 people a day are seriously injured in police interactions, including police officers. But as an individualist, I don't discriminate whether someone's a private citizen or a public official, whether they're black or white, young or old, rich or poor, gay or straight, Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, Muslim, agnostic, north, south, east, west, doesn't matter to me. Each person is an individual, and each person should be judged by their own actions alone. My experience has been that the Democrats and rhinos, the way they talk on the floor of the House, the way that they are posting online, is they tend to talk about people as groups. They group people by race, by income, by class, by how they make their money, grouping business owners together as though they're all, terrible villains, swimming around in gold and ivory like jewelry. Uncle Scrooge's money bin. You talk about the top 1%. Well, the top 1% is household incomes of, in some states, not even $200,000 a year. And then they say, well, the billionaires. But the billionaires like George Soros, Michael Bloomberg, Bill Ayers, Tom Steyer, as soon as they, bankroll Democrat campaigns and put enough money in the Democrat Party, they don't want to say anything. But some of the responses that I get are, it's immediately obvious, and someone even bothered to post a whole bunch of statistics. I'm not going to bring them up, but they bring up the race of all the people who are killed in police interactions. And actually, statistically, arrest for arrest, whites are the most likely to be killed in police interactions. No one ever talks about this. And that can't be an issue to you if you're an individualist. It's just simply, officers of different races, the race shouldn't matter. Government officials of different races, different positions, the position shouldn't matter. Killing another human being. In fact, that one person's killing another human being without justification is what's wrong. And Lauren Grindstaff McKinnon says, oh, it's absolutely at the root. And I'm saying, no, it's the fact that government is ruining people's lives. Individuals in position of government power are ruining the lives of individuals who are not in government. And even if they were ruining the lives of people who were in government, it's still government power being abused, which is what we're trying to stop. The burning and pillaging of 200 buildings in 4 cities is totally unjustified. It's attacking and destroying, hurting one person, a bystander, who didn't cause the problem. File criminal charges against the officer who leaned on the man's neck, George Floyd's neck, and choked him to death. 5 minutes of choking him to death. When I practice in self-defense, we're told and we're taught when you're doing a chokehold, if they go limp just a little bit, you take your hands off immediately, you set them down. You don't even allow 1 second of unconsciousness to pass, because chokeholds are dangerous, and we have to be very careful about how we practice chokeholds in self-defense class. Here's Christy Lane. She's interesting. Quote, yes, the city should burn, every city should burn, starting with the government buildings and the homes of every corrupt cop, politician, and CEO, the banks, the corporations, and the new apartment buildings no one in the city can afford. Forest fires are healthy. They kill the old, grown, and the ashes nourish the new to grow stronger and better than what was before, unquote. That's really bizarre. But I'm seeing lots and lots and lots of posts by Antifa thugs and by Libertarian Party members and by Democrats saying that they want private buildings to burn, not just City Hall or the state capitol or the police building. And what's happening when they burn down the police building? All they're destroying is evidence from countless rapes and murders and burglaries. And so all these criminals are going to be let go because the evidence will have been destroyed in all these lootings and pillaging and burning buildings down. So that doesn't do anything to help anyone. It only helps bad guys get away. So every time in history, and I think this is axiomical, when one person does something wrong and people flip out and they riot and they attack and destroy other things, or when they're running into Target and these other big box stores and shops and whatnot, and they're smashing all the windows, even small stores, and they're running in there and they're stealing Legos and they're stealing TVs and they're stealing software and computers and stereos and electronics. And here's what's amazing. Jason Liberty Cucks, absolute POS, in my opinion. Also a Joe Jorgensen supporter. So here's another LP member. WTF, you POS. Any actual libertarian would be mad at both cases, but clearly you are not one. And it's no wonder that not one actual libertarian voted for you in your own state's primary, you racist, dumbass, socialist, Republican F-wad. Delete your account post haste and do not comment back at me. I don't feel like hearing from morons like yourself, you flaming fakertarian. So my post is literally that everyone should be treated equally. So the LP members are not libertarian at all. This is why Stephen Molyneux, Laura Southern, Thomas Sowell, Ron Paul, Austin Peterson. This is why so many candidates, so many activists, so many of us have left the Libertarian Party. I keep seeing people post, well, but you get into the Libertarian Party, you got to get involved and fix it. And then I say, okay, fix an established political party. I've left and I've joined the Veterans Party of America, which is a 10 times better political party, 10 times better bunch of people. And the LP members are saying, stay inside the Libertarian Party and fix it. Do you think you can fix people like this? Do you think you can fix abusive people and bullies and violent Antifa communists? I don't think it's possible. And then I turn the question around. Okay, well then why not fix the Republican Party? Because you've had thousands and thousands and thousands of small L libertarians and other pro-freedom folks join the Republican Party, run as Republicans, and get way, way, way more accomplished. If the argument is, well, you've got to stay inside this dumpster fire as the fat stripper stripping on stage, as the vice presidential candidate is taking his shirt off and doing his podcast and calling himself the duly elected Libertarian nominee, literally using the same terminology as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He's literally the AOC of the Libertarian Party. And then here's another person jumping on saying he's not an actual libertarian, except that I've been at the top of the Nolan chart my entire life. Here's another guy saying these incidents are not comparable. Stop. I can't tell you how many Libertarian Party members have said stop. Don't say this. Or the abortion on demand issue. They say if you don't have a womb, then you don't have a right to have a say. Well, but you're murdering innocent babies, and then you're saying that someone shouldn't even have a right to have a say in public policy, that they shouldn't even have a voice. It's the Democrats, communists, and now these violent Antifa thugs and these new Libertarian Party members who are saying, well, you don't have the right to say anything. You don't have the right to speak out. Well, hell yeah, I have the right to speak out. Everyone has the right to speak out against the deprivation of life, liberty, and property of anyone from the first heartbeat to the last. Why is it right? Why is it okay for them to just take a whole class of people, separate them out, because they haven't quite been born yet, they're about to be born, and say, you're going to segregate them out and separate them as a separate group and view them as legally disposable? Here's Ovens O'Brien, who has very much changed in the last few years. They were both murdered by government officials. There was an outcry for both of them, and she received justice as her killer was charged with murder and sentenced to time in prison. Yes, that's true. Ovens usually speaks in facts, but she sometimes doesn't read the entire remark or read something into it that wasn't there. And this is another Libertarian Party member where I have to jump in and say, after the fact, no, I didn't say this. And then I have to take snapshots of my posts and say, look, where did I say this in the post? Oh, well, you implied it. No, I didn't. I'm an individualist. The difference with the earlier case was, again, it took 9 months. It took 9 months to charge the other officer. He turned himself in. And he got about 20 years, I think, some very long prison sentence. And the cop who shot her, here's Eddie Austin. Cop who shot her was convicted of third-degree murder and manslaughter. And again, it was 9 months. The riots here started, within 24 hours. There wasn't enough time to even go out to the guy's house and arrest him. And in fact, they blockaded the guy's house. Now Ovin says, hence the rioting. Well, so did George Jorgensen. Joe Jorgensen, in my opinion, should step down as the Libertarian nominee and let someone else who will speak objectively as an individualist, but I don't trust the Libertarian Party, the delegates, to promote individualism, and I feel like they are just too quick to group people together into groups, and I don't think that they're contributing anything at all to this discussion. In fact, if anything, I think that the riots and looting and burning, and multiple times they've openly defended the rioting process, and even dug up an old quote from Martin Luther King Jr. I think that's essentially what they're doing, is they're defending the initiation of the use of force, the destruction of life, liberty, and property for individuals. Again, in Louisville, they've shot 7 people. We don't know how many people have died altogether. Minneapolis, at least 1 person has been killed. Not even by the police, just by the rioters. The mainstream media is calling the rioters protesters, even though they're burning buildings down. And Vince Gigliotti is one of the funniest posters. He posted a group of really great memes. Nothing says we want justice like a looted 70-inch flat screen. This is people running out of Target, which was completely cleaned out. And people have a whole stack of these big screen TVs that they're trying to load onto a shopping cart and load over to their minivan. Vinny's next meme, someone was shot, time for free shit. That's what they do. Now I see another string of angry comments. I'm not even going to read off. Some of them have more profanity and racist remarks. Bottom line is, people who are destroying private property should not be celebrated or promoted. Only the Democrats and, I guess, Antifa communists and these new Libertarian Party members would defend rioting, burning down private property, attacking innocent people. That's a violation of the harm principle. That's a violation of rights of individuals. And it's the commentary that I've been seeing online is absolutely atrocious. So my response is going to be live and let live. 12 of the 13 Minneapolis City Council members are Democrats. They've had countless complaints. There have been 10 murders by 10 homicides, 10 killings by the Minneapolis PD in recent years. The formal complaints have flowed in. The informal complaints have flowed in. As far as I know, none of those city council members was voted out. Mayor and police chief were forced out after one of the shootings. But there has not been accountability, and it's just the Democrat Party does not believe in holding individuals accountable. They're not individualist. If they were individualist and if they listened to people, they'd leave the Democrat Party, because you'd immediately realize where the problem lies. The problem is the Democrat Party. It's corrupt. They don't care. They're a bunch of opportunists. They're there to steal money. And the fact that I have to tack on the disclaimer, I did not say anything about the Republican Party. You've seen my remarks in other videos about the Republican Party. I know some idiot's going to jump in there and say, well, the Republicans this, the Republicans that, the Republicans the other thing. The Democrat Party has a rigged, controlled primary process based on seniority and who you're related to, and they pick all their officials a year before, ahead of time, and they tell their elected officials how they've got to vote. And just it's absolutely amazing to me. Again, I don't care about the race of the assailant, the victim. I don't care if, honestly, I don't care if they're a government official or a private sector criminal. No one should have their rights violated. And if you're an actual small L libertarian, a real libertarian, or more and more people are just saying a constitutional conservative, somebody who stands up for equal rights for absolutely everyone, in absolutely every case, that no one's rights should ever be violated, no one should ever be punished or hurt unless they've been proven beyond a reasonable doubt to have victimized someone else, like burning buildings down, or stealing TVs, or attacking people, striking people in the back of the head. We should absolutely stand up for the rights of everyone and not be distracted by race, gender, religion, or anything else. As long as you're not harming anyone else, government should leave you alone. If government is harming people who aren't harming anyone else, or if they're using excessive force, or they're using deadly force, as this officer did, to stop a non-deadly crime, which I guess was, passing bad checks or what have you, that level of force is excessive and it's criminal. Officer should be charged for homicide and manslaughter, just like this other officer was. And we need to stand up for the rights of the individual. If the Libertarian Party is not going to do that, then leave the Libertarian Party, because they're not going to change and they're not going to accept responsibility. And we've already seen in the Democrat Party a total arrogant refusal to accept responsibility for their screw-ups. They're never going to accept responsibility. And I would strongly advise anyone to leave either the Democrats or the Libertarians, because of the childish nonsense is absolutely endless. So please click like and subscribe. But more importantly, leave your own comments down below and let me know what you think. Do you think that this should be made into a racial thing, or should this be about the protection of individual rights?